I'm also working on the other car today. I had my, so originally my exhaust pipe was a little bit higher than that, so I cut it to angle it down a little bit more because it's summertime now and I like having the window open a bit sometimes. And with it coming straight out like that, it sucks a little bit of air. It gets caught in the airflow behind the back of the car, and some of the exhaust gets caught up in the air, and it goes into the car. Because when you have one window open in the car, sometimes it creates a vacuum, and then the seal underneath the back tailgate, if your seal isn't like brand new, it sucks some exhaust in. So that was one of the reasons why I extended the exhaust pipe out, is because before it just comes out underneath the car, and with it coming out underneath the car, it's a lot louder while you're driving it, especially down the highway, and you're getting all that exhaust coming up underneath the car. So I extended the exhaust pipe out, and then I'm just angling it down a little bit so it doesn't get caught up in the airflow behind the car. And this one already has the drain plug in it. Maybe since I'm here, I'll put the pad on this one as well, and then it's ready for winter. Yeah, I think I might do that as well. So I'll sand the oil pan on this one, and except only problem is that drain plug is in a bad spot. It should really be here like I put it on the other one. Whoever had this car before me put in that drain plug. I didn't do it. So yeah, I don't know. I suppose I can put the pad that way, but the problem is you shouldn't have any surface on the pad that's not contacting the metal, because if there is like a big surface that's not contacting anything, that area of the pad might heat up a little bit more than the other one, and I don't want the pad to burn out. You want all areas of the pad touching the metal. So I'm just gonna cut the exhaust a little bit more so it angles down a little bit farther, and then weld it in place, and put the pad on this one, and should be good for today. I didn't wipe the oil off the oil filter housing. That's why it looks gross, like it's leaking. I don't know why, like, this car is a heck of a lot cleaner than the other one. Like the oil cooler on the other one looks like it's like corroded and looks like it's deteriorating already. I don't know why, this one looks a lot better. The other one was driven on the highway a lot. This one was driven in town. So that could have something to do with it too. Or this got changed out at one time for whatever reason. Maybe this car overheated, I don't know. That could explain why the compression is a little bit lower than what it should be. But anywho, I'll get that done, and that's enough of the work on the smart cars for today. Oh, yeah, I'm also... the intake... so here's my connector that came out of this car. It's the connector for the intake air temperature. So that's this one right up here with your intake air temperature sensor. So what happened is one of the wires broke off on this one. I tried finding a clip, but I couldn't find a car that, like, at the pick and pull, they didn't have any more smart cars there. And I didn't want to order the pigtail from Mercedes, if you can still order it, probably. So what I did is I just heated it up with the soldering iron, got some solder on the little pin that was still sticking it out there, because that still had some copper wire on there. And I got a bead of solder on there. I got a good bead of solder on the wire, and then I just soldered it back together. So if that happens to yours where the wire breaks off on the one side, just take your soldering iron, put a bead of solder on there, wiggle it around, use some really good electrical solder with the flux inside, and get it stuck on there, and then just solder a wire to it. Don't worry too much if you melt the surrounding clip, as long as you don't melt the little divider piece between the two wires, and as long as you're not melting where it connects, like the little release button there. and it should be good. And so yeah, I stole the wire from the other car just so I could drive this one around. So I'm going to put the other wire back on the other car, and then this one's going in there. And it should be good to go for another 200,000 kilometers. Okay, angled the tailpipe down. That should help things out a bit with the exhaust coming up. And I spliced back on my repaired connector there. I dabbed it up with silicone so it doesn't jiggle and break again. Okay, so there's my tailpipe angled down. Hopefully that works well. If that doesn't work, then the alternative, well, it was good enough the way it was, so this will definitely help out a bit. But on the other one, when I do the exhaust for that one, it'll come out and then it'll angle down just away from the car. You know, it'll be angled down a little bit more downward angle. So on the other one, when it comes out, it'll look like that. So it'll just be angled a little bit more downward and out. You know, pretty much kind of what's going on there with the big 2-inch one. And that'll keep the exhaust from coming into the cab, because the smart car seems to have an issue with that. Not so much of an issue with the gas ones, but with the diesel ones, yeah, you get a little bit of that soot in the cab. You don't get a lot of exhaust coming into the cab, but no one likes smelling exhaust when they're going down the road, or you're all cleaned up nice going somewhere and you get in your smelly car that smells like exhaust, and you want to open the window as you're going down the road, and by the time you get to where you're going, you smell like diesel exhaust and you got a headache and all that other shit. So not a very good thing. Maybe when the car was new it didn't have that problem, but as the cars age and the rubber seals on the tailgate and the rubber seal around the hatch goes, and the car starts smoking a little bit more, then you start smelling the exhaust in the cab, and it's not a very healthy thing either. So that's why this is angled out the back. So I'm gonna rev it up and we'll see how much exhaust comes out and what's the direction it's going. So that'll do it. I think that's pretty close to the correct angle. I'll just have to see when I go on the next trip down the highway if I can open the window and not smell exhaust.